I'd like to empower you because you are here. It will be our 26th anniversary very soon in November. And I would like to invite each and everyone to call those who are not coming here anymore. Wake them up. Tell them, be alert, alive, attentive, accepting, and aware. 26 years ago, this group was founded. But sometimes now you see me, now you don't. The reason why we are inviting you to be very conscious of your contemplative practice is that it becomes a habit. And once contemplation becomes a habit, you don't need to think anymore, I'm contemplating, but you listen to God's message for you today. I just left a very important meeting of major religious superiors, and we realized that there are mission partners like you who are mission partners of Regina Rosarii, of the sisters. We have mission partners who are working in the field. They are not sisters, but they are there doing the work that we are supposed to do. For instance, our K-Friends, we have this task force for urban conscientization. Saan tayo kung may mga demolishment, dinemolish na mga bahay? Wala tayo doon, di ba? We are in the comfort of our house. We are in the comfort of our chapel. Pero sila, they are there. And the worst part of it, tinatag sila, red tag sila. No, ibig sabihin, red tagging. No? Saan tayo pag may mga disasters? Siguro kasama kayo namin, no? Kahit hindi physically, but you are with us when there is flood, when there is sunog, when there is disaster. Pero sila, physically, nandoon sila. So I am very grateful to the Lord that I have this opportunity to really sit with them, but really not only sit with them, pero hinatid ko pa sila sa kanilang bahay. No? And makikita mo talaga how they work. And maybe they have the image of God. So yung tanong kanina ni Sister Matt, no, what is your image, no? Render to God what belongs to God and render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Yun ang sinabi doon sa gospel account ni Matthew ngayon. And when we say render to God what belongs to God, the sea, the rivers, the mountains belong to God, right? And we are doing disaster. There is now what we call climate disaster. Grabe ang mga mining, mga open pit mining, yung disaster na we are not taking care of our environment, we're not taking care of our earth. What belongs to God belongs to God. Our tithing here that we have shared does not belong only to the organization, but it also belongs to God because it will be used for a common good. And they were doing all the things they can do to trap Jesus. Para lang na magkamali si Jesus, then they'll say, But you see, Jesus thinks ahead of them. And today, I'd like to tell you, it's our responsibility, also to our online viewers. I can see the sisters, they were sitting with us, sisters in Tago, Menchi, Crisanta, and Sister Fe is also there, and Sister Marites. It's our obligation to understand what is happening in the world. What's happening in the world right now? War. Naunawaan nyo ba? Bakit sila nagkagera? Naunawaan nyo ba ang dibisyon ng Palestine at ang Israel? Kami ni Banji and several of you, many times na kami nagbalik-balik sa Holy Land. Sometimes hindi masyadong klaro. Bakit ito nag-aaway? Bakit hindi pwede ang Palestinian na mag-guide sa amin sa Jerusalem? Bakit hindi ang Galilean na napakagwapo, na hindi siya makapasok sa Bethlehem? Parang, at that time, hindi ko maunawaan. So ngayon, basa ako ng basa tungkol sa kanila. And of course, binabalik-balikan ang kanilang history. Yun pala, this is an old age trouble, no, even before the time of Jesus. And they were under the Turks, the Ottoman, in the 14th, 15th century. And of course, you know that the Israelis are stateless people. Wala sila lupa. Even during the time of Abraham, di ba? Brought them out, no? When we were in Nebo, we were looking at the land of Canaan na hindi nga na-reach ni Moses doon. So this is a very biblical fight. But during the time of the empire, di ba? Yung mga Romans, gusto nila na mag-conquer, no? Pilipinas, na-conquer ng mga Espanyol, na-conquer ng mga Hapon, na-conquer ng mga Americans. Ganon din yung area na yan. Na-conquer din yan ng Turks. But then eventually, the English came to save them from the Turks. And in 1948, dinivide to please the Palestinians. Sinabihan sila, we will give you your independence. And to please the Israelites, sinabihan sila, we will give you land. Isa lang ang nagsabi sa kanila, British, who took them as a kind of an empire in 1948. And so eventually, ganon, they understood it that way. Kahit na stateless sila, naawa ang world sa kanila kasi bago lang na Holocaust. Oh, ang grabe yung pinamatay yung sobra 6 million. No? Sometimes I'm already saying, wow, sa Rwanda 1 million plus. Sobra pa pala yun sa Holocaust. Sa Germany, 'di ba? So, anong feeling ng itong mga tao na ito na stateless sila, ganun pang ginawa sa kanila, 6 million, kukunti lang sila. So, of course, the United Nations decided to give them land. And this land is now Jerusalem. Jerusalem is international. But this land is, ang Gaza yan, na kuha din ng Israelis, ang West Bank, ang mga strips. Pero Bethlehem, oh little town of Bethlehem, how still we see the light. As if, no, when we arrived in Bethlehem, hindi man ito yung Bethlehem sa mind ko. Ang Bethlehem sa mind ko yung how still, no, but it's really a land of war. Until now, they are really fighting and fighting. Sabi ko nga, bakit why? This land belongs to God. But they feel this land is our land kahit saan na lang sila magpagawa ng kanilang mga bahay doon. So that is the reason why there is such a big conflict. Pero, yung United Nations, especially the United States of America, gave them really their own area at rich. Di ba, Banji, no? Rich, no? Richy ang mga Israelites. Medyo makikita mo, clean sila, rich sila, disiplinado sila. Many of them have German origins. Pero alam nyo, itong Palestinians, kung tutuusin, ang kanilang mga ninuno, yung mga lolo-lolo nila, ay Jewish din to eh. Before sa division. Ito Palestinian, ito Israel. They keep on fighting. Now what happened? Israel is very rich. Sa New York, grabe ang kayamanan. The richest people in New York are Jewish people. Sa Belgium, I have experienced buying of diamonds and buying of gold and walang kasulatan. Shake hands. Shake hands lang sila. Why? They know business. If you have read the book of Og Mandino, the greatest salesman of all, no? You will really see they have very good business ways. I think was it 2 weeks ago when I mentioned here, or I don't know where, but I mentioned about the kosher money. That's the reason why they are also very rich. Kahit mga ballpen, kahit mga clips sa opisina nila, hindi nila tinatago. Nakaw na yan, di ba? Magkuha ka ng mga bond paper sa opisina, parang wala lang sana, magkuha ka ng mga biscuits kung saan-saan yan. Na hindi sa'yo. Pero sila righteous eh. The righteousness of these people made them very rich. Ano ngayon, grabe yung technology nila. Tayo, very far behind tayo sa agriculture. Pero sila, daanan mo yan. That was like, when was 2 years ago when we passed by? Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Huh? Yes, 2019. When we passed by their areas, grabe, yung mga rows and rows of trees, no? At this time, mga ganun pa. But they know how to make orchard of dates, of apples, of oranges, of all kinds of fruits. At the time, ganito pa, pero rows and rows. Grabe talaga, hectares and hectares of... Imagine now, what are they doing now? After 3 or 4 years or 5 years, harvest time na, di ba? Nagha-harvest na sila tulad sa atin sa Regina Rica. Nagha-harvest na tayo ng mga tinanim natin mga 10 or 12 years ago. Ganon din sila, they are harvesting and they know technology. They're not afraid to ask. Now, the heart of the people, it may seem, is towards the Israelites, the Israeli state. Naawa tayo sa kanila kasi sila ang una na nabomba ng mga Hamas. Ano itong mga Hamas na ito? Why am I talking to you in history? Kayo na magbasa niyan. No? Bakit ko kayo tinuturuan? Naririnig nyo na ito sa radyo, pero nagustuhan ko lang talaga na mag-share sa buong mundo, sa inyo rin, tungkol sa pag-away nila. But you know what? My heart bleeds also for the Palestinians. Kasi sila ang mga inaapi. Kahit doon, Diyos ko, wala na dito si Mama Mary of Bethlehem. Pero binilihan namin sa Palestine, binilihan namin sa Bethlehem. Kasi yung Our Lady of Bethlehem na yon, from the hands of Palestinian Christians who do not receive so much. Parang hindi sila binibigyan ng sapat. At saka wala sila mga malalaking opportunities. It's a land of war. Let us pray. Kasi kawawa kaninang umaga when we woke up at ang news kaninang umaga ay more than 500, 300 to 500 patients in that hospital na binomba ang nawala. Nagkakasakit na nga yung mga tao doon eh. Duguan na sila eh. Pinatay pa sila. Strike pa sila. Now, this is really what is very wrong. Kasi ang mga Israel nagsasabi, hindi kami yun. Sabi naman ng mga Hamas, hindi kami yun. O, si sino? Alangan Pilipino. So, ito na yun ang choices. Render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and render to God what belongs to God. Even during the time of Jesus, akala nila na dadalhin na sila ni Jesus sa land of peace. Everything is going to be peaceful. Pero grabe pa rin ang away during that time. Akala nila na ma-throw down nila yung mga Romans. It was only the year 70 that the Romans were toppled down. The Romans continued to rule over them. That's why we have Pilate, Roman. So let us thank the Lord for letting us now know the history of all this trouble. Please open your YouTube, if you have YouTube, and study and read. Kasi sometimes hindi natin maunawaan, ano ba itong mga Hamas na ito? Ano ba itong mga Israel na ito? So please, I know you're listening to the radio, but I invite you. This is part of being contemplative. Why? Part of being contemplative is to be aware of the problems of the world. Part of the contemplative is to pray for the problems of the world. And part of being contemplative is to be aware of what is happening in the world. That is why we are in the world, but not in the world. Because even if we are set apart by the Lord and you have been taught and being given ideas of what contemplative lifestyle is, still we are here, but we belong to God, not to Caesar, but we belong to God.